naughty content in GTA 6. Now, this is something that I've actually gone over in my most recent video, and essentially, basically, are we going to be seeing a bunch of potentially sexual content within GTA 6. Obviously, GTA over the many years, Rockstar have always featured a lot of different, different related sexual activities or whatever it may be. Like content's always been featured within GTA. It's a part of it as a franchise. And I guess the thing more in particular is, will we be like, what type of activities, what type of things will we potentially see? Now, I think the thing is, now I want to pass this over to you, Cyborg. What would you think is probably going to be a feature compared to GTA 5 in terms of naughty content?
Sorry, I was jacking it. I think it's a tricky one because, like we said before, that mature rating is very important to Rockstar. So it's like, for example, in the past when we've been able to pick up Ladies of the Night, we've had to, it's been pretty non-graphic, and that's whether that's due to technical limitations, like making it look realistic, or whether that's due to Rockstar behaving themselves. When we're talking about a game that's supposed to be the most immersive GTA yet, which is Rockstar's own words, how do they make it as realistic and not necessarily realistic, but as immersive as possible, without making it at all realistic to the point of getting the adults only rating? Especially when we're dealing with two protagonists that could be, we actually don't know that they're definitely in a relationship, but dealing with that dynamic in a game which obviously will contain naughty actions, as we saw from the trailer. Lucia was straddling Jason. How do they... I think this is genuinely an interesting topic, how they navigate this.
It is. And it was, we even saw it in the trailer already that Lucia was literally on top of Jason. He had his top off and she only had her bra on. That only goes to show you,
that's what friends do.
Friend zoned. Look, at the end of the day, they are in a from what we see anyways, it looks like they appear to be in a romantic relationship. Navigating it from Rockstar's perspective must be one of the most hardest tasks, with trying to stick in the confines of a mature rating. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm sure it's going to be quite difficult. But I think the thing is, a few examples we have already seen in the modern day of gaming in relation to naughty content. Even Cyberpunk, for example, they featured that game's featured quite a fair bit of that. And it's still stuck within that mature rating. And even Last of Us as well in the part 2. There was actually, I don't know if did you ever play Last of Us Part 2? I didn't, but I saw there was a few.
No, I played part 1.
Yeah, part one was good. Part 2 was just absolutely shit in terms of the story.
Was it?
But anyways,
don't tell me that. Don't ruin it for me.
That's another. I didn't play the story, but from what I understand, that's what people have said. But yeah, there was actually, I think there was some type of, I'm pretty sure there was some type of sex scene in that game. I'm pretty certain there was, or some type of
naughty stuff.
Yeah, naughty stuff that was occurring. It just, look, will there be a cutscene where we see Jason and Lucia potentially do it or something like that? Will there be full frontal nudity? Will there be something like that? It's hard to say. Look, obviously we're just speculating here based off what we've seen.
There's both sides to it as well, because I understand that they've got to avoid it, but not having anything like that in there would be doing such a disservice to the story, because I think something else like ESRB and PEGI, the ratings boards. What rating? In Australia, you've got the Australian Classification Board, don't you?
Correct.
So I feel like both of those 3 ratings boards, which are going to be, key interests for Rockstar, surely those ratings boards must look at a certain scene that has naughty content in it and go, hang on, in the context of the situation, this is perfectly acceptable, because for some reason stuff is allowed on TV that isn't allowed in games, which doesn't make any sense to me. But I feel like it has to be, not having it in the game would suck, because like when no one playing the game is 12 years old or 10 years old, we know that Jason and Lucia, make the cake. Like but it needs to be convincing in the sense that I want to see, if it's going to be a Bonnie and Clyde inspired story as we think it's going to be, I want to see all elements of their relationship come to fruition in our game, and I want to understand them as characters, how they are emotionally involved with each other, because at the end of the day, the relationship we build with those characters, we need to understand those characters as we're playing, and to kind of say, oh, actually, we're not going to include a big part of their relationship with each other because ESRB said no, just doesn't seem right. I don't know. Yeah,
I think if they add to the element, if it's included within the story, if it enhances the story, I think it's important to have in. I think from that perspective, I think it's going to be good if they do add it in from that perspective. I think if it's just tacked on or whatever, maybe perhaps not. But I think from a storytelling perspective, seeing that we assume that they are in a romantic relationship, I think that would be beneficial to have in.
I don't feel like it has to be a mini game. I don't feel like we should be controlling it.
No. I don't feel like so either.
I feel like maybe in a cutscene, seeing them get something on, and maybe if it just fades to black, but just to at least convey that something is happening between them. Because like, if we go through like a timeline in the game that maybe all those missions take place over a 6-month period or a year long, and at no point during that do they touch each other, like, it's a bit like, what?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But look, I think the even thing is, we did see in the leaked clips, now I won't get into the specific name of this object, but there was a naughty object that was on the bedside table. I don't know if you saw it in one of the leaked clips.
Yeah, the sword.
Yeah, the sword. But yeah, look, the thing is in that clip that we saw, I think it was Jason, in that room, and there was like you had the bathtub to the right with the candles and that.
Well, it could be Jason's. Let's not assume.
You never know.
It's 2024, dude. It's 2024, dude.
Maybe he swings that way. Who knows?
Maybe he does. Maybe that's an arc in the story.
Maybe, man. Oh, who knows, eh? But I think the thing is as well, even historically, like we did see, now you probably know this as well, like the hot coffee mod that was in San Andreas.
Yeah.
I went over this in my video. If you guys are unaware what the hot coffee mod is, essentially...
Don't Google it.
Yeah, don't... Yeah, essentially, it was the modding community back in the day when San Andreas was out. They found out that the code with the San Andreas code still had this sexual mini game that was in the game where you could actually perform intercourse with CJ and various girlfriends and that. Whether I would say and they received various backlash, like so much backlash from it, Rockstar and Take-Two. And I would say it's very, very unlikely that we are going to be seeing anything like that within GTA. I think it's very unlikely.
I think something else about that whole situation, like that whole situation sucked, because when the modders actually broke into the game and saw that this content was hidden witithin the game code, ESRB, the first thing they did, they went to Rockstar and said, why is this on the game? And Rockstar blamed the modding community and said that it wasn't in the game, it's been made with mods. And that went on for about 4 or 5 weeks, where like reporters were turning up at this dude's house, and I think it was in the Netherlands, and asked him why he made it and modded it into the game and stuff like that. And then when it was investigated by ESRB, they got Rockstar in a room and said to them, was this on the disc when it was shipped? And they basically said yes, it was on the disc, but it was hidden within the code.
Yeah, they just made, all they essentially did was, obviously they shipped the game, but they just made it inaccessible to the public. Like, And from what I can understand, I actually read about this in terms of when I was doing the video the other day. From what I can understand, Sam Houser actually received these like alterations that there was going to be like a sexual minigame within San Andreas at the time. But apparently there was, from what I can understand, there was insufficient time to remove any of the graphic content, as it would have compromised the source code. So that's an interesting fact there, or interesting bit of information.
But yeah, like I think one of the biggest things is that hot hot coffee mission, yeah, it was axed from the game, but it wasn't accessible on consoles. Like the general public were never going to see it, and I feel like the trouble that Rockstar got in, yes, it was very like shitty that they blamed modders for finding it, but at the same time, it was hidden to the point that the only way people could find it is by accessing the game code through a PC and like running emulators and stuff like that. So although it shouldn't have been there, and I understand why ESRB was angry, like it would have never have got found if the modding community hadn't cracked into it. And little Timmy sitting at home, who by the way, who should never have bought the game anyway because he wasn't old enough, he wouldn't have been able to access it. Only in recent times, like obviously now you can just download San Andreas with the hot coffee mod. Anyway, like there's just there's so many cracks for it. It's easier to actually get the game with the hot coffee mod than it is to get it without it. So
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty mental.